and show you what I do with some of the things that I purchased from Costco over the last few weeks. So a little while ago I picked up this Lion cookie mix. It was, I think, about $5.50 or $6. It has 2 satchels in it that are 600 grams each, and they make about 25 cookies each, depending on the size of your scoop or how big of the cookies you make. And I like to keep a box mix in a pantry just because if there's like a night of the week or something that I don't have time to make everything from scratch, then I can kind of grab one of these, add a few extra mix-ins and make it my own, and then have something really quick for the kids to snack on, or a treat when my oldest one comes back from dance or whichever. So my kids have actually been asking for baking lately, so I thought I would do this because I don't actually have all the ingredients to make cookies from scratch. One thing I do whenever there's a sale at Woolworths on their baking supplies is I pick up the baking chips or chocolate chips, just because they're usually like half price, and it's better to have them and not need them for a little bit and then have to go get them at full price if you can save some money. So I think these are like $2 off. So what I've done is I've gotten a pack of the white chocolate chips as well as the dark chocolate chips. So I'm going to add those in. And whenever I make chocolate chip cookies, even if the recipe doesn't call for it, I always add in vanilla. And I did check in the ingredients on this one and it doesn't have vanilla in it at all. I like to do this just because I find it ups the chocolate flavor. Just like in a chocolate cake you might add coffee. So this is, you're not going to add coffee like espresso to the chocolate chip cookies, but I find the vanilla does help it. It just makes it taste a bit more chocolatey, and I like the flavor of the cookie itself without the chocolate when it has the vanilla in it. And then it does ask for, so this mix requires for 1 bag, a half a cup of butter, so softened, so that's 110 grams, and 1 large egg. It doesn't specify whether or not you need salted or unsalted butter, so there's probably not a lot of salt in here just to offset if you use either of them. So I have put my half a cup of butter in my mixer, because I'm not going to hand mix it like it says. It says you just use your hands and squish it together. I've got 2 of my children home with me right now. You're kind of hearing them periodically, and I want to make sure my hands aren't super like gucky if I have to run for something. I've also preheated my oven to 180°C, which is 350 Fahrenheit, just so it's ready to go when I want to put my first sheet of cookies in. It does say put, so grease, I think it says grease. Or line 2 large cookie trays. So I've got 1 line because I like to do 1 at a time in our oven just because it's fan forced oven. So I find that it like the top cooks before the bottom, so it's just easier to do 1 at a time, load the next one as I go. So I'm going to cream my butter first, even though it doesn't require that. I just like to do that, and that's always how I've made my cookies. I cream the butter, add the vanilla and the egg next, or if I'm doing it from scratch, I would do the sugars at the same time. And I find that's just, it just works out, and I'm more comfortable doing that, I guess, because it's just habit. And I'm gonna use my mixer just because it's easier for me. But you can use a hand blender, you can use a spatula, or just your hands like the actual box says. You may hear a buzzing, and that's because my mixer is actually from Canada. So this has traveled through 3 countries with me, and we have to use a special converter. So you might hear like a little engine kind of noise when I'm using it, so that it actually works, because I can't just plug it in or it would blow up the motor. And this is not a cheap appliance, but I love it so much that we've kept it with us. And yeah, it's been to Canada, the US, and now Australia. And then I'm gonna add in the egg now. So this is just 1 large egg. It's actually a Costco egg. I think it's the Sunny Farms one. You get 60 eggs for like $13.50. And we're pretty big egg eaters in our house, so they don't last very long here. So this is almost incorporated, so this is the point where I'm just gonna eyeball it. I'm gonna do about a teaspoon of vanilla. And then I'm also gonna scrape down the bowl because there's not a ton of butter. Like you would use a fairly large amount if you were making a normal batch of cookies, or at least a normal batch for me makes about 48. So usually use quite a bit more butter, and then there's the sugar right to cream. So with this one, you're probably gonna have to scrape it down a little bit more if you're using a mixer. If you're just using your hands or like a spatula or wooden spoon, then I mean, obviously you're gonna be kind of scraping it as you go. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the chocolate chips in last, other than obviously the ones that are already included.
I have one.
Okay, just be careful. Can you sit? Can you stay sitting for a second? So I'm gonna mix this one in. And I'm just gonna mix it on low, and I like to stop it before it's fully incorporated because you don't wanna make them tough, right? So at the end, I just kind of fold in the last bit, and that's when I'll fold in the chocolate chips as well. Okay, so at this point, it's nice and crumbly. It looks almost like a pastry dough, so I'm gonna mix the rest of it by hand so I can fold in the chocolate chips,
And I want
the extra ones.
I want one too.
Okay.
I want that one. I want that one.
You want some chocolate chips?
I will eat one.
So this one's already claimed chocolate chips. These are going to be extra chocolatey. I mean, in my opinion, I always use more chocolate chips than the recipe calls for. That's one thing I probably never measure. I just make sure that I don't use less. So depending on, I guess, like the humidity and stuff too, that's one thing I noticed. Like I've made dinner rolls, and the recipe called for like a certain amount of flour, and because we live in Australia, I've noticed that I always end up using more. So that's one thing you can kind of look at, like if you find that these are still quite, like I can see that these are still quite crumbly. So that's one thing I might do, is I probably will add in some more butter, and we'll have to kind of mix that in on my own. Yeah, because it's still quite crumbly. And it looks like I'm probably going to have to get my hands dirty. So I'm gonna take my rings off, because there's nothing worse than a bunch of cookie dough stuck in your wedding rings. And then, let's put these over here. You want to smell the package? Does it smell chocolatey?
Oh, it's really good.
So this is actually good because my butter is a little bit like cooler than softened, like it's not, because it was in the fridge for a while. So we'll see what happens as I kind of use my warm hands to mix it through. Hopefully no one needs me. So I've mixed the extra, it's about 90 grams that I added in here. So just kind of eyeball it and see if you need the extra butter. And definitely this did, because it wouldn't be this kind of like packy like a regular cookie dough would be if I hadn't added the extra butter. So it's kind of interesting because it seems like, yeah, I think it would be a really crumbly mixture, even if you mixed it by your hands. Without adding all that extra butter in that I did. And I mean, if you like a cakier cookie, then I would add in another egg. But if you just like the kind of the gooey, chewy ones, then the extra butter should be fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my ice cream scoop here. This is about a tablespoon, and just do a scoop, drop it on the tray. And I don't squish them down or anything, I just leave them like they'll look like this on the tray here. They're just gonna be like this. So these are fairly generous. I like to have a decent sized cookie, right? I mean, no one wants a tiny cookie.
I want a tiny cookie.
And you want a tiny cookie?
And I want a big one. I want 3 ones on my plate.
You want 3 cookies on your plate?
Yeah.
She's already claiming the cookies. These won't last very long.
I need to use her hand. So 1, 2. Can I smell them?
Yes, you can stop them.
They smell very good.
They do?
Yeah, because they smell the chocolate and what.
So I've scooped them out, finished scooping them out on the tray. So I like to stagger them. So I do 2 and then 1, 2 and then 1 and 2. These are the large trays that you can sometimes find at Costco, usually around Christmas time. I think these are the full sheets because they have the half sheets that are much smaller, or half tray. And I'm gonna pop these in the oven. It says for 13 to 15 minutes, so we'll see, because every oven is different, and I'll probably check them around 13. Usually the first batch takes the longest, and then after that it takes a little bit less time. And then I'll show you what they look like when they're done. So I just finished scooping out all of the cookies, and I put the third tray in the oven, and I actually got a total of 33 cookies, which is pretty awesome. I'm sure the extra chocolate chips as well as the butter has extended everything, but I definitely wouldn't flatten these cookies because they do spread a bit. I left them mounded from the scoop, but I think if you flatten them, they would be really crispy. They may actually break. So these ones have stayed nice and chewy, you can tell. Like if you look here, you can see this one. And then it's like soft and chewy inside there. So that's really good. These are actually how we like our cookies. My husband does like the ones that are a little bit chewier, like the more brown sugar based ones. But he'll still devour these because they have chocolate in them. I definitely like, this mix looks really good. I can't eat it, which I was actually thinking when I was scooping this, that it's probably a blessing because I tend to eat the dough when I could bake, before I had my third one, because I can't eat things that she is exposed to, or that she's allergic to. So I've probably saved quite a bit of cookies in this, just not being able to sample the dough. But the kids, they've already tried one and they really, really like them. So you can tell from when I broke it that they're going to be chewy inside, and I like the ones that they look like they're underbaked, but they're not. So they're about 12-13 minutes in my oven. Definitely, if you get the Lion cookie mix from Costco, to check it at the lower end of the time frame they give you, which is 13 to 15 minutes, and then go from there. So I could tell because they were nice and golden brown around the edges, so that's kind of when I pull cookies. But yeah, they made quite a bit more. So I bet you if you did the tablespoon scoop with just the regular mix, you'd probably get more than 25 cookies anyways out of that, because I got quite a bit more, not like one or two. I mean, there was 8 more cookies. And they're fairly big sized ones. So thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below for any new places you want me to check out or any new products you'd like me to maybe try. And I'll see you next time.